the limit as far as what they can be creative and do to have some fun in the kitchen while they're cooking. I think that's about all I have on that.
All right, thank you. All right, sticking with the program directions, Dave, Mr. DePrimo, can you talk to us about the Klondike Derby?
Yeah, sure can. Well, this year, obviously, we got to do it a lot different than ever done before. So it mainly pertains to having nothing but a day event out with your scout troop. So what we're doing is putting together you're going to map and compass to your campsite. So you're going to pick your own campsite. You're going to map and compass out to it. And you're going to get a fire started. You're going to set up a dining fly area. You got to cut your own poles. You'll have your own lunch. You'll put together your own lunches and build a camp gadget and leave with no trace. And I've got some of the equipment, a 10 by 10 tarp for your dining fly, your twine and your four 6-foot poles for your dining fly with a 9-foot pole in the center. And of course your fire starter and compass. So that's what we've got, on a piece of paper right now. Eventually tomorrow night, Maphis and I will be meeting, and we will put something together in a flyer. There you go.
Thank you, Dave.
You get that?
Do you have a date?
I missed part of it because I had to step away for a minute, but I think I got most of it from.
Yeah, you still have brownie on your lip.
Yeah, he was accosting me.
Hey, Rich, did you get that?
You're recording the session so you can see it.
Oh, I'm recording?
I'm recording. I just started a few minutes late. So I missed the beginning, but
Oh, that's fine. As long as everybody got that. Like I say, there'll be a flyer out. It'll be on your internet. So we'll know more tomorrow night. And like I say, we get it on paper and get some prints out.
Carl, now we got that saved. We maybe have to find a tile or something in that video. Who's in the kitchen with Dinah and you eating that brownie may show up. You never know.
We have brownies?
Dave, do you have a date for the
It will be the 6th, the same day as the Klondike, and you will be spending a day with your troop. You pick your own piece of woods. You go out there, you set up. You got a couple of kids doing fire building. You got a couple of them working on some shelter for a dining fly and some lunches, and everybody will be split up a little bit that we're not all gathered around one little fire. And you can take the sleds out if you want. I mean, I'm hoping that you all have snow where you're going, and you make a day of it and have fun. Be nothing but a day out with the troop.
March 6th, right?
Yes. And hopefully, I will be sending a mayor, once I know where your location will be, I will be sending a mayor out to set in your site while all this goes on.
all right. Thank you, Dave. Jen McGrain, welcome to Roundtable. I talked briefly about day camp, and Joan added in, I think, the date that we're looking at. Have you had any updates on day camp? And we talked about Aria and bringing goats to day camp and some basics, but what else do you got for us?
I reached out to Dan today, and he has not followed up with any of the places for locations. We were looking at a different location, possibly. We're not positive yet. We had 3 Harris Hill he was going to look at and see if we could get. He wasn't sure if they're going to be charging this year. And then there was 2 other locations. But he said he has not been able to do that. He's hoping to do it next week. We are staying with the Western theme that we had started last year. then we need help.
So, Jen, look somewhere on your screen. There's a guy with a white shirt, a pair of glasses, a black watch, and he's
Huh?
looking because he knows I'm talking about him right now, and he's scratching his eye. Mark McDowell, the other Mark with the CMC.
With the C.
It drives me crazy because sometimes Mark McDowell gets Mark McGrain's emails. Mark has in the past been willing to try to get to our shooting sports training. And if Mark is still willing to try to do that, he may be someone that you can catch up to with shooting sports. And if you look in the chat, you will see his email and phone number because he posted it in there earlier about a different subject.
Okay, perfect. That would be great.
Sorry, Mark, didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No problem.
Okay, looking around, who else we got here? All right. Okay, couple miscellaneous things that I have, and Patty mentioned a little bit about University of Scouting. I think right now University of Scouting is probably going to be put on hold until March or maybe April. We're not in a position to do it in February at this point, so we're going to hold off on that, and that will be a virtual event, and we're just not quite ready there, so we've got a little bit of a hold on that. Many of you have supported some different fundraisers that we've done through Facebook in the last couple months or so, and it's been nice to see the amount of people that have reached out, and it's a good example of why a volunteer can do a better job doing some different fundraisers than a professional can. And if you haven't seen, George Bacalus put up on Facebook a Heat the Camp campaign. And he's done one for both Camp Relay and Camp Gorton, as we don't have the funds necessarily to keep the cabins heated, the dining hall and some of the other lodges that have to stay heated. And we're keeping the temperatures low as we can. It's a challenge to keep all those things heated. And through some of the fundraisers on Facebook, we've been able to raise a decent amount of money for both camps so that we can keep the heat on, and so that the money that's raised in the council through Friends of Scouting can go more directly to the program rather than worrying about heating the buildings and the facilities. So for everyone that has made those donations, thank you very much, and look forward to hopefully getting your support through the regular Friends of Scouting campaign this year. Facebook we probably made $7,000 last year through different fundraisers through Facebook. So that's a great new way of raising some much needed funds.
Carl, since
Yes.
you're talking about Camp Gordon, is there camping yet at Camp Gordon? Or the last I heard, there was just families could ask to rent a cabin and camp. So that's one question. What can you tell us about camping in Camp Gordon or camping in general so far?
So the families are allowed to camp at either one of our either Camp Relay or Camp Gorton. A family can rent out a campsite. Right now, and things may have changed recently, but I don't think they have. Until the governor changes things, we don't have any group camping available, and that's more of a state role than our role. We would love to have everybody out camping as soon as possible, but it's just not our policy to let happen quite yet. However, at that same time, both of our facilities are open for day use. So any of the units that want to go out there and go for a hike or do some activities, as long as you're following your safety plan and you're able to go out to the camp and use it for some activities. We are asking a $2 a person fee to go out for day use, and that is basically going to help us to be able to cover the cost of cleaning supplies and some of those things out at the camps while you're out there. So the restroom building will be able to be open, And so we need those cleaning supplies to make sure that we can keep the facility open and sanitized. So day uses, yes, absolutely. And
And the trails too, for the trail hiking?
yes, right. Okay. And if anyone notices anything different from state guidelines, please let me know. I haven't looked recently to see where we're at, what the state's saying, but yes, camps are open, just not necessarily for units to camp overnight.
Thanks.
All right. Where are we at? Meg, you had a couple of things that you wanted to talk about. Can you do those real quick?
I can. A couple of things. We just finished the recharter. And one of the things that we encouraged people to fill out for charter was the Journey to Excellence. We got a couple of them. We could use a whole lot more. It's really important that we get that Journey to Excellence filled out, turned in, if nothing else, because it gives us a baseline of how we are doing as a unit. I mean, really, if you do just the bare minimum, you should be able to get bronze, okay? But we really use that as, or at least I do, I use it as a benchmark so I can see how well our unit is doing, what do we need to improve on. So we are really encouraging not only that you fill out the Journey to Excellence, but that you track your service hours. Carl's going to share his screen so that everybody can get an idea of where to track and how to track your service hours. Carl, do you want to take over for a minute? You're muted.
All right. When you go to the council website, the same place you went to do your charter renewal, under that same section, one of the tabs that are there is the service hours tabs. And so if you go to that tab, you will see all of these directions on how to track your service hours. And one of the things that you need for that is an ID number. And that ID number is your unit ID number. And if you look on your charter renewal information, not using the same code you used for charter renewal, but once you printed your charter, there should be a unit ID number on that charter. That's what it's talking about, that you need to use that to get into the system and log in your service hours.
I tried that and it didn't work, and it shows last year's stuff, but it won't let you add new things into it. And I talked to Mark McGrain and he's told me that you have to go through Scoutbook now into Internet Advancement to do it.
Okay, so I will talk with Mark and make sure that we can get this page updated for that information.
Perfect, thank you. You know, just a reminder when it comes to service hours, Boy Scouts of America is a service organization. And we should be doing service. Even in this time of COVID, there are things that we can do. Talk to your chartering organization. What is it that you could do to help benefit them? Is it rake the leaves? You know, put up a shed, you know, any number of things. And service hours, especially when it comes to rank advancements, do not have to be done with the unit itself. You know, we encourage that. But if they are in a service organization in school, that can count towards their service hours when it comes to rank advancement. Excuse me, but we want to record all of our service hours. It will give us a good idea when it comes to how many hours were spent on an Eagle project. How many were spent on community activities, that sort of stuff. If you take part in a parade, that's service hours. If you help with a food cupboard, that's service hours. Anything like that should really be recorded as service hours.
Meg,
Yeah.
I have a topic that will blend your topic that you just talked about with one of my topics of fundraising. So for that, I'm going to step aside and let someone else talk for a moment.
Okay. Hey.
Way here. Hi. So service hours count for the youth, yes, but they also count for us. So like tonight, our 1 hour roundtable, I know that my company has a Dollars for Doers program. So I will put in this hour for the meeting tonight. And when I get 10 hours, then I can apply for like a grant, and that goes to scouting, whatever organization I volunteered for. And I know a lot of companies do the same for volunteer hours. They'll donate maybe money, or some places will do pay you for the hours that you're putting in for service. So like maybe they'll give you that day off so you can volunteer for the organization, things like that. But a lot of companies will do that. Any hours you donate, they'll send money to the same organization. So even if you're not aware if your company does or doesn't, maybe you should look into it. And I would encourage you to even, like this hour, 1 hour tonight, put it in. They all add up by the end of the year. Okay.
Very cool. Thank you.
And otherwise, a lot of places have also have a matching funds. So your FOS contribution or your $20 Facebook donation, which, how do we get a receipt for that? You can give to your organization, submit to your organization, and they will match whatever you gave. They'll match like funds, and so the organization will get twice as much. And all it takes is, a couple extra minutes of filling out a form or finding where to enter it on a website or submitting an email. So I would encourage you to, take those few moments and maybe look and see what your company has to offer, because it's a benefit to you and to scouting, the youth support. So you might as well take advantage of the benefits, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Mary Jane is really good with all those. So if you need to know maybe what your company does, who to get in touch with, what the instructions are, reach out to her, send her an email. She is very helpful. Okay. On another note, since we're talking about volunteer hours and everything, advancements. Could you please make sure that all your advancements are getting entered so we can keep track and keep everybody, we like to see where everybody is. And if things aren't getting entered, we think you're not active, the kids can't tell where they are. You run a report and it looks like you haven't been anywhere, but you've really made a lot of progress. So we want to see that. We want to reflect it because it's, it's positive growth and it's encouraging to everyone. Okay. Questions, comments? Bye. You have
Carl, I just confirmed with my daughter. She is willing to bring all her goats to the camp. She's willing to teach you guys cheese, how to make soap, and all the kids can try milking the goats. So that's a done deal for you guys.
Great, thank you.
Yay.
Okay, so one more segue. So Chris talked about advancements, and all of you are trying to think, all right, great, we got advancements, we need awards, how do I get them? And you all know that this shop is now completely closed. As of Sunday, we closed our doors and finished up. We had 2 great days, Saturday and Sunday, sold a lot of product at great discount to our units. And there are still some items there. If there's anything else you want, I talked with one of our Cub Masters from the group here today, And by the end of the conversation, I filled up probably a full box full of supplies that he was able to get for his Cub Scout pack, a lot of Pinewood Derby stuff and things like that. So if there's anything else that you're still looking for, we have about another week and a half until we're completely out of them all. But we do still have some products available. If there's something you need, let me know. But I didn't get to advancement part. All of the advancements, which is what I started talking about, we will still have all those advancements available. As we make our conversion to a Scout Service Center at our office in Elmira on Water Street, we will have all of the advancements that you need for your unit, as well as a select supply of books and uniforms. Right now, we don't have a definite date as to when that's going to complete the transition and officially open up to be able to have all those items at the store ready or at our office on a regular basis. But if there's things that you know that you need, please let me know. And within about a week, we should be able to get all those items to you. And it's just a matter of pulling out of the boxes where we have things stored right now, and we'll be able to make that happen. Right, just need a little bit of notice to make that happen, and we should be good to go. Thank you all for that came out and supported or the closing of our store and got some great discounts. I know there's several people that are on the call now that I saw at the weekend, and hopefully more of you have sent others from your units to come out and get some things. We do have a few store fixtures still available. If you know anybody that's interested in any store fixtures, have them get in touch with me, and I can set up a time for them to come out and look at things that we have. Okay. All right. I'm almost done, and then it'll be almost Meg's turn again. All right. So next thing coming up on Saturday, January 30th. What we were hoping to do on January 2nd, we just weren't able to pull it off, but we are pulling it off on January 30th, a skeet tournament at Camp Gorton. And all the information on the skeet tournament is on the homepage of our council website. So if you have some people that are interested in doing this, please encourage them to get signed up soon. There are specific time frames throughout the day that you can sign up for to do your session. It's set up to do as a group of 5. And it's going to take a little bit of time to have all 5 of the people go through the stations. It's an 8-station skeet range, so it's going to take a little bit of time. Participants need to bring their own firearms and their own ammunition, and you can set that up through the council website. And make sure you have your eyes and ears protection to bring along. And as mentioned here with the COVID requirements, we will be following all the requirements for COVID to make sure that everyone is safe, as safe as we can make it for them while they're there for that. So it's going to be a fun time, and encourage everyone to please come out for that event.
Is that going to be posted on the water cooler, or you can send out a email to us with that flyer?
It's on the front page of the council website. I believe it's also on water cooler, but the easy place to find it is the front page of the council website.
Thank you.
Sure. All right. And then also on the front page of the council website, you will find information on tech support. And we've talked about this a few times where the tech support program at the national office is no longer there. That's one of the things that the national office had to close. But there is, on a local side, we are doing tech support. Mark McGrain is part of that. Ryan Ross is part of that, and Dave Sullivan is part of it. And between the 3 of them, they should be able to help you with most everything that you have in regards to technology with Boy Scout websites and things of that nature. On the front page of the website, there is information on that, and there is a way to submit a ticket to them that you fill out all the information, what your questions are, what the problem is, and they will get back to you with an answer on how to solve that problem. Okay, one more thing, last thing, I promise, Meg, for right now. Tomorrow night is your opportunity to meet our new Scout executive. Brad Bodo has joined us from Casper, Wyoming. This is his, I think, 4th council as a Scout executive. So he has a lot of experience in the program, and he officially stepped foot for the first time in our office on Monday. And tomorrow I'll be taking him out to Camp Gorton, and probably next week we'll get him down to Camp Burleigh, and that way he can see everything that's going on and see our properties and all. Brad is excited to be moving in and getting his feet on the ground here, ready to go. Tomorrow night, you should have seen the email about how to join us for the town hall. That is also on the front page of our council website on how to join in on that. We'll start at 7 o'clock. If you have any ideas or any questions you have, please come prepared to ask some questions, and we'll let him talk for a while, then we'll have some questions for him. And hopefully you all get to know him and meet him sometime on some upcoming events in the near future. I have talked enough. Meg, I'm done. Tag, you're it.
Okay. First of all, let me just say that if you guys want to unmute yourself, this is going to be interactive. I want to hear from you guys. So, because my first question is, how many of you have a committee in your unit? You have to have a committee, but how many have a functioning committee? Okay. Of those who have a functioning committee, how many of your committees are actually comprised of your unit leaders, your direct contact leaders? Okay, so your scoutmaster or your cub master and your assistants. The reason that I'm asking that is because that should not happen, ever. If you think about what the committee is what supports the troop leadership or the unit leadership. So your scoutmasters, your cub masters, all of those people are direct contact. They are the ones who work directly with the boys and girls, excuse me. The committee's job is to support them. So if you have unit leaders, both registered as the unit leaders and on the committee, it makes it very difficult. I will be the first one to admit that in Cub Scouts, a lot of times it is virtually impossible to get a functioning committee that is not comprised of the leaders. But ultimately, that's what we want to do, is to get that to be non-direct contact leaders. So parents, people in the committee don't have to have a child in the program. I'm on 3 committees and I haven't had a child in the program in 8 years. But there are some key positions within the committee that really has to happen. So in order to charter, you have to have a committee chair and you have to have 3 committee members. Okay. You should have the committee chair. You should have the treasurer. They should not be the same person. You should have a separate treasurer. The other positions, we want to have an advancement person, but they're not required. Those 2 are required. And you want to make sure that your committee is structured to function and to support your unit. I have been called to several units to mediate, so to speak, between the leaders and the committee. That is one of the most common sources of tension within a unit, is between the leaders and the committee. 90% of the time, the reason that there is conflict is because they do not understand what their job roles are. And they don't understand that the unit leaders should be in charge of working with the kids. The committee members are the ones who make sure that the funds are available, to make sure that people are available to drive, all of that sort of stuff. We are supporting the scouts and the leaders. You have to be 21 to be a committee member. You should fill out they should fill out an application, which will include a background check. Their registration fee is the same as any adult. And training is available online. So you don't have to have a specialized training, although a lot of units will ask specifically for that training to be in person. But right now, in the days of COVID, we are really encouraging them to take the training online. So the training online is going to tell you exactly what each particular role is. There can be committee positions other than those that are dictated by the Boy Scouts of America National Office. If you have parents who want to volunteer, find them a job and allow them to do the job. You know, if you have an activities person whose job is to get the signups for the activities, make sure that there are drivers for the activities, don't take over that job and leave them stranded, because that's how you lose volunteers, is by not allowing them to do their job. So that is really important. So where do we get these volunteers? Because that's part of the the hardest part sometimes, is to get parents to volunteer. Look at your parents to start with. If you are looking for an advancement chair, maybe instead of trying to find a new parent to take over the entire advancement, why don't we find a couple of people, one to enter the advancements into Scout Book, one to go to the Scout office and get the advancements, one to go to the individual dens or patrols to get the advancements and collect them all. We can break up almost every single committee position into smaller bite-sized pieces. That will, one, be not as overwhelming to a new parent or a new adult, and it makes it so that more people are involved. And if you have a fundraiser and you have 3 fundraisers during the year, popcorn, Christmas trees, and a pie sale, instead of getting one person to coordinate all 3, get 1 or 2 people to coordinate each one. That is one way to encourage parents to become active. Make up a committee position. We had a parent who couldn't make committee meetings, and it was very, very difficult. She could be there on Scout nights, but she really couldn't be there any other night. we created a uniform committee member. We had a uniform closet. She was in charge of it. So if scouts were bringing in their uniforms that didn't fit anymore, she would take them, she would give them to scouts who maybe hadn't gotten their uniforms yet or couldn't afford one. And so her sole job was to coordinate the uniform closet. There are a million different things within the unit to support the scout leaders and the scouts that maybe some other unit doesn't have. You know, we had a uniform closet. Not everybody needs one. But we have to be creative when it comes to finding a job. Our unit has, or used to have, we call them the 43zers. They were a group of parents who show up on scout night and they hang around. They don't drop off and leave, they hang around. So we gave them something to do. So they were the 43zers. They were people who would do anything that you asked while you were there. So in our troop, every time we have a camp out, they get a neckerchief slide specific to that camp out. So if a scout doesn't go on the camp out, he doesn't get one of those neckerchief slides. Or she, I'm sorry, thank you. So during a scout night, our 43zers would glue the different pieces and parts to the neckerchief slide. So, and that, you know, that's getting parents involved. Dave, did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, yeah, another good way to do that is the parent talent survey sheets. Have the parents fill those out in the beginning of the year, keep those on file. That way you know someone who has a specific talent or may want to do something. So that's something I suggest. Have the parents in the beginning of the year fill that survey form out, keep it, have someone keep it in a file. That way you can refer back to that whenever you need something, a task or an event planned out. Maybe they have a specific, whether it's carpentry or, you know, party planning or something like that. So then you have a reference point for all your parents. That's another way of trying to do that.
That's an excellent way. And I know that, and I'll be the first to admit that when I was neck deep into the unit activities and the unit operations, I always thought that parent survey was just for Cub Scouts. I didn't ever think about using it for a scout troop, but that is also a way that you can find out, okay, who's got a special hobby that might be a really good merit badge counselor. You know, there are so many different ways. If you have a parent in there who's very organized and who, you know, is a secretary or an office manager, maybe they are a really good one to talk to about advancements and keeping them straight. I strongly discourage standing in front of your meeting and asking for volunteers, because you're not going to get one. You need to individually ask people and put some thought into it. Don't just randomly off your cuff go up and say, hey, do you want to do this? Put some thought into it. Make sure that they are a good fit for that position. Not everyone is fit to be a treasurer. Okay? Trust me, there are very few. So that's one that you have to really think about when you are putting the position out there. For those of you who are on a committee now, or have a functioning committee, one of the number one things that we need to think about is a succession plan. Who's going to take over your position when you leave? And it may be that you are a unit Cub Scout leader whose child is a second-year Webelos, so they're crossing over in the spring. Who's going to take over for you when you move up with your scout? Are you going to stay there? Are you going to be like the Soapers and be there forever?
Or the Edgars.
Or the Edgars, that's right. There's quite a few of us in here who don't have children in the program anymore. But that being said, there's no reason that the committee has to be made up of parents. Take a look at your chartering organization. If it's a church, are there congregants in the church who might be willing to help with a committee? They don't necessarily want to have contact with kids. Personally, I don't like kids, so I like the background. I like the paperwork. I like to do that sort of stuff. I am not one to work with the kids every day or every week. So maybe there's somebody like that in your chartered organization. Take a look at your community. Do you have a community center where some of the people who volunteer there may be willing to volunteer for a scout event or for a scout unit? Those are some places to look for adults. Our number one place to look for adults are past scouts. We have several of our Eagle Scouts who have gone to college, they've come back, and now they're assistant scout leaders in our unit. So a lot of the time, especially if they're Eagle Scouts, they realize what scouting can do for a child, for a youth, and they're willing to give back. So take a look at, and if you're a Cub Scout unit that doesn't have Eagle Scouts, talk to your Boy Scout, your local Boy Scout unit. Talk to them and see about who might be a possibility to come back and to help with your unit, with the Cub Scouts. Does anybody else have any ideas, any suggestions? What are some of the things that you do to help get parents? Don't all speak at once. All right, Aria.
Think of an opera. You'll get it that way. I can only talk from my past experience. Here we only have 4 families that are in our pack, so it's almost impossible to get a committee for them. I might have to get with Dave and borrow the scout people to do it. But I know when I was down in Westchester, it was very difficult to get parents in. There are parents who would willing to do everything and anything, and others not. You just literally had to go and reach out to them. As you said, you had to go sometimes individually. This person's an artist, so you use them when we have a fundraiser every February. We used to go to this one lady. She did all our table decorations because that's what she enjoyed. And we put her on the committee. But it's very difficult to get them there. I know. I've been doing it for over 50 years, and it's tough. It's tough.
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, we live in an era where there's a limit to what parents will do. And I have had to explain that BSA does not stand for babysitting anonymous, you know, if, especially at the Cub Scout level.
Oh, yes.
You know, they are, kids that age are a tough lot, let me tell you. And it really is important that the parents stay. Now, granted, at Lions and Tigers, they have to, but even as they start to get older, one of the things that we found with our boys is if we are willing to spend the time into it, so will our kids. And they will see it as being a priority to us, and they will make it a priority to themselves. Now, granted, there were weeks that they didn't want to go and all of that, but they understood that scouting was an important aspect of our family. You just did it. And unfortunately, you don't see that from parents very often. Anybody else have anything to add? Carl.
So this ties in with one of my next points, but it works perfect with your idea of having or coming up with something for people to do, coming up with a committee position kind of thing. Many of you, by nature of how you are registered, get a lot of emails on a regular basis from this thing called Scout Books. And I would encourage you to make sure that somebody is looking at those emails because when those emails go out, there's a lot of good information that's included in those, whether it's information about the town hall meeting tomorrow night. I just saw there was a Facebook posting on Scout Book training and different things that are out there on a regular basis. And I'm sure every one of you looking at me right now can agree that you probably get many emails each week from Scout Books. And those are our best way as a council to make sure that information is going out to as many people as possible through that link. So if you can find somebody that is getting those emails and you can make sure that they can get in and check those emails, that would be a great additional person to recruit.
Perfect, thank you. Lisa, did I see you waving your hand?
I said beg. That's what we do in our troop. If seriously, if we come up with something and we don't have enough people, we just have to start calling around and saying, hey, can you do 1 hour? Can you do 2 hours? Can you cover this shift or whatever it takes to make the activity work?
Or you have your daughter or husband volunteer you all the time.
I waved to you when you
can't
came
imagine.
on. We love you, Mr. McGrain.
I have also not been above threats, you know. When I was, especially, hey, especially when I was in Cub Scouts, you know, and we were trying to find den leaders and not a single parent would step up. We finally had to say, look, if we don't get someone to stand up and to agree to take over this den, we will have no wolf den and you will have to go and find another unit.
That's how we're all here right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the things that we started doing, Mark, I don't know if you guys are still doing this in PAC 86, was instead of calling them committee meetings, we started calling them family meetings so that everybody knew that everybody was welcome, not just the few 3 people that were on the committee. The other thing that we started doing was instead of the den leader teaching every week, the den leader asked, what do you want to teach next week? What do you want, you know, what's your talent? Here are the requirements, here are the belt loops. What can you do? So that it wasn't, so they became like a senior patrol leader. Instead of running everything, they delegated things. So
that's an excellent suggestion and an excellent way to do things.
Carl, you might have noticed that I've been enjoying some popcorn. This is what we're missing in our, can you see it?
Yeah. Oh, the hot pepper or hot barbecue one. I know we
Spicy.
offered that a couple of years ago, and it actually did not sell very well, and that's why we only did it once, and it wasn't popular, or at least not in our area. It just wasn't popular, so we didn't sell it again.
Okay.
Sorry.
Jen, did you have something?
Just was gonna go off with what Patty just said, for our Mark, for his, what we did is we set up a calendar for the whole year, and we put the date and then what, ballot loop we were hoping to work on for each. And then he sent that out to the parents and asked them to sign up where they wanted. I mean, so especially we did that a lot with the Tigers and Lions and Tigers to try to get those parents involved, or had a hard copy and, you know, kept asking them every week too. Can you sign up? We all want to rotate. We'll be here, you know. And when we did Lions, we broke it up even smaller. Okay, who's going to do the opening activity? We'll do the main one, and then who's going to do the closing, just to get them slowly involved.
That's excellent. And if you get them involved at Lions and Tigers, they naturally will advance with their scouts. Piggybacking off something that Patty said about calling them family meetings, what we did was once a quarter, we would have our committee meeting during the scout meeting. We tried doing it more often, but realized that we got nothing done and nothing accomplished. But at least if we had it every quarter, the parents could come in, the parents could be active and see what it was like and what it meant to be on the committee. Now, granted, we had to threaten some of our committee members that they had to behave, but the fact of the matter is if they were able to come in and see how we operate and some of the things that we do, we actually got 1 or 2 volunteers just from having them during the scout meeting, so that they could actually see it. Mike, are you talking to us? Because you're muted. Does anybody else have anything to add? What are some of the ways that you guys get parent involvement?
Well, Meg, that was something we did in 3042. We would have a parent meeting at least once a month during our same night as our, kind of like what you were just saying, same night as our PAC meeting. We take the parents in the beginning, you know, after we did opening ceremonies and stuff and broke the dens out, we would take the parents into a different room and go over what was going on for the month, let them know the upcoming activities and what we needed to plan for and who we needed for what areas. And it also gave them an idea of how the committee meetings went. I mean, I also invited every parent for every monthly committee meeting. They didn't have to be on the committee to show up. Sometimes that was successful, sometimes it wasn't. But that was another way that we were able to do things, have a monthly parent meeting, just to keep the parents informed, other than the announcements that I would do at the beginning of the meeting or at the end. So that's
Right.
another, like you said, it's another way.
Excellent. Anybody else have some suggestions? Okay. Carl, did you have anything else that you needed to add?
Yes, just one real quick brief thing. All right, on my screen here, you should see, this is the homepage of the council website. And I mentioned these already a couple times here, but just kind of, hang on a second, I need to adjust my screen a little bit. As you can see on the front page, the information on our new scout executive and on his information link here and the link for how to get on to the town hall meeting that is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Please, everyone, try to have somebody from your unit there and participating, represented for your unit to learn a little bit more about them. This section is just that little ad for joining the program, but then the skeet tournament is on there on that front homepage. Some information on camping that hasn't changed a whole lot, but we're working on it. And then the tech support piece that I mentioned earlier, also all on that homepage. So the homepage is where we try to put as much new information of things that are going on out there, and as well as the Facebook page and the water cooler and those scout book emails. And hopefully many of you saw that you should have received an email about scout books, or from scout books tonight. And that email was talking about a scout book training that I mentioned earlier. So please make sure you check those emails. That's all I got. Thank you for attending. Hope to see you all tomorrow night.
Thank you. Before we leave, one quick thing Patty put in the chat. One of the things that they do is they do family camping at Park Station, so that the parents and the adults get to know each other outside of a scout unit, and they actually become friends. We did that quite often. We would have adult night out, so that if we became friends and we got to know them on a more personal basis, they were more willing to help out during a scout meeting. So, but thank you, Patty. That was an excellent suggestion. So if you guys don't have anything else to add, thank you very much for giving up your Tuesday evening to do this. And we will hopefully see you again next month, and if not tomorrow. So, all right. Good night, guys. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
So Mike, while you're still here, German, your wife did talk about you while you were, before you joined the program.
Yes.
Gave some ideas on Pine Road Derby and just got us kicked off a little bit on that. So we're good to go, and just continue to encourage den or packs to, if they can meet as a den to do their Pine Road Derby race. I want to try to get them doing that so that we can potentially have a race later on this spring as a district.
Yeah. Obviously, I'll keep in touch with you on that. Yeah, we're just gonna have to figure out a place where we can do ours to set that track up. And obviously, it would be nice to have it in person, but if we can't, we're gonna find ways to. I talked with Mark a little bit about it, and yeah, we're working on making that functional.
All right, sounds good.
One of the things I did want to mention to you, I saw at the Scout store when I was up there the other day, they still had that oil lubricant for the wheels, which technically hasn't been allowed as a lubricant. It's supposed to be graphite. So
Well, I'm going there tomorrow morning. If there's any left, I'll throw it.
I know there was quite a bit left. I don't know if anybody has really bought any, but yeah, technically in the rules, it's always been graphite.
Right.
But yeah, so hopefully nobody uses that stuff, because it can make a mess.
All right, I'll check. I have the packs that have bought a bunch of stuff recently. That is not one of the things that I remember seeing a lot going out the door. Most everything was stickers and things like that are making their cars look good, not necessarily go faster. So.
Right. Well, I know, of course, they could have picked up that bottle of oil at a reasonable discount, because I know it was expensive, and I thought, wow, that's it's pretty pricey for that little bottle, but yet it's technically not allowed in our district races. I don't know if other districts use it, but the other thing was, I know we haven't changed any of the rules. The rules should be all the same. So I didn't know if anybody needs copies of that. I don't know if you want to send it out to the PACs again, just to get it out there so that everybody has a copy.
Right. Okay. I will try to do that. I sometimes, my list gets longer and longer, and sometimes I don't get
Oh, I understand.
the list, but I'll try to see if I can do that tomorrow. And actually, that would be a good
I'm assuming all the PACs.
Friday.
I'm assuming all the PACs pretty much know, the Cub Masters and stuff should know, but it's probably just a good reminder to maybe put it out this year. I know I sent a copy of the rules to all of our scouts with their cars this year. They still had the date on there from last year's districts or whatever. I told them to just disregard that because we don't know when and where that will take place yet. But
Right.
baby steps with COVID.
Yep. All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you. You too. Good night.